So you wonder why you've been dealing with a certain pain for years now. Maybe it's your back, your neck, your shoulder, your knee, whatever it might be for you. You've tried literally everything to try and fix it, but it always comes back. You might be starting to think that you're just doomed to a life of managing pain and avoiding movement at your full capacity. After 11 years of me constantly suffering due to primarily knee pain, I thought my body was just broken and I had no hope for any sort of recovery. Now I do literally whatever I want with my knees. Things that I thought were impossible a few years ago. I was looking for something to do with my knees, but I couldn't really find out. Like, these split squats, these right here were impossible for me. Jumping, that used to cause me so much pain. And it wasn't until I made an enormous shift in understanding where exactly that pain was coming from, which had nothing to do with my knees, that I finally made a full recovery. So first, what's important to understand is how the traditional medical system views the human system. They see the mind and the body as two completely different things. And they think that issues in the body originate from a problem in the body, whether that be a chemical imbalance, a muscular imbalance, a tight muscle, actual tissue damage. Their assumption is that when there is pain, that means that without a doubt, there's an issue in your body. And this is why you've been chasing physical solutions for years: PT, mobility routines, strengthening routines, chiropractors, maybe even surgery. All of those modalities are perfectly in line with the medical system's main assumption. So they treat problems in the body. And this is great for actual acute injuries. Like if you sprain your ankle, you should definitely go see a PT and do some rehab. There was actual tissue damage, which needs to be rehabbed if you want to get back to full activity. But chronic pain, as we'll talk about later, is completely different. It's no longer a body issue. It's a brain issue, a brain and a nervous system issue. So all of those ways of treating the body completely miss the root cause of the issue. So here's the truth about our human system. Our minds and our bodies are one. They're correlated beyond anyone's belief. Everything up here affects everything down here. And most of us actually know this instinctively. You might have gotten nervous before a speech and your hands are sweaty, or you had a very stressful day at work and you come home with a headache. Those are immediate changes in the body that are caused entirely by mental and emotional factors. Now let's look at a kid, for example. Have you ever seen a kid at a playground? It's crazy how much energy they have. They're sprinting, jumping everywhere. It doesn't even seem like they get tired at all. And why do you think that is? Most people will say age. They'll say it's because their bodies are young and they haven't degenerated yet. Those people have a totally incorrect view of the human body. They think it's fragile. They think that with time, it's just bound to break down. But there are people in their 80s who are sprinting at full speed. Our bodies are incredibly capable. A kid isn't bursting with energy only because their body is younger and therefore more efficient. The real reason is two things. Number one is they have no fear. They are completely fear of their bodies. They run around with no singular thought that their back is all of a sudden going to get pulled or that they're going to blow out their knee. And number two is their mental and emotional state is fantastic. Kids are literally bundles of positivity. They're excited about the world. They don't have the life stressors that modern adults do. And because of that, because their mental and emotional state is so elevated, their body follows too. Now, I'm not saying that you have to become a child to get rid of your chronic pain. I'm just using an example to show you how deeply influential our mental and emotional state are on our body. So now that we know that the medical system's way of viewing the body is completely incorrect, let's talk about what pain really is. Again, the medical system thinks that it means that there's a problem in the body. But now that we know that the mind and body are one, let's talk about the truth. Pain is just a signal from the brain. That's it. Your brain generates pain, not your body. It's always your brain. Your brain uses pain as a protective mechanism. And that can be from an actual injury, like spraining your ankle or getting cut. But it can also create and maintain pain because of other things that it perceives to be dangerous. Let me give you a quick example which proves that pain is always created by the brain and not a sign of something actually going wrong in the body. The British Medical Journal came out with a case of a construction worker who jumped off of some scaffolding at a construction site and he landed on a nail, which went right through his boot. Immediately, the guy was in crazy pain, so they had to rush him to the ER. And the doctors gave him painkillers because the pain was so bad. When it finally came time for the doctors to take off his boot, they saw that the nail had gone right between his toes. Hadn't even touched him. And when that happened, when the doctors finally took off his boot, the guy lost his pain. The pain was gone. So what happened? His body was untouched, but he was in agony. His brain created pain based on something that it perceived as dangerous. The man believed that his foot had been pierced through. He saw it with his eyes. His brain took that information and fired pain signals to protect him from that perceived danger so that he would attend to his foot. So once again, pain is just a signal from the brain that it has perceived something as dangerous that it wants to protect you from. So now let's talk about chronic pain. Chronic pain is a brain which is stuck in an overprotective state because it is still perceiving something as dangerous. It comes down to three things. Number one, thoughts and beliefs. Number two, movements or body positions. And number three is emotions. Let's start with thoughts and beliefs. When those thoughts and beliefs are charged with fear, like for example, my body's fragile, or this pain is so bad, will it ever go away? Or the doctor showed me the damage on my MRI, my body is clearly damaged. Those thoughts and beliefs, they literally signal danger to the brain. They tell the brain, this area, whatever it might be, is something that must be protected. So the brain uses pain. And those thoughts and beliefs keep the brain in a hyper-vigilant state because fear equals danger, and danger is the opposite of safety. Now let's get to movements. Over time with pain, you start to fear certain movements because your pain flares up every single time. Maybe you bend down or you squat or you sit down, and your brain learns to fear those movements and associate them with danger. And maybe you start to avoid them, which signals even more danger to the brain. Number three, emotions, self-criticism, suppressed anger, pressure, anxiety. All of those keep the brain, if they persist over time, they keep the brain in a hyper-vigilant state. And the brain starts to judge those emotions as dangerous, just like it would judge a tiger in the woods as dangerous to your survival. So to protect us, the brain can create and maintain pain signals going. And what the pain is, in the case of emotions, is a distraction mechanism. The brain judges that the emotions are too dangerous. So it literally sends you physical pain to focus on instead of the dangerous emotions. Now, let's talk about neuroplasticity, because it's the reason that your brain is even capable of learning this pattern in the first place. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to rewire itself based on repeated experience. This is normally an amazing thing. It's how you learn to ride a bike. It's how a musician eventually knows a piece of music without even thinking about it. But that same mechanism works for pain too. Every single time that your brain fires a pain signal in response to a certain movement, a thought or a belief or an emotion, and you respond with fear or avoidance, you are reinforcing that pathway. You're telling your brain, without even knowing it, yes, that was dangerous. Remember this connection. And you do that enough times, and the pathway becomes practically automatic. The brain doesn't even need a real threat anymore. It just needs the trigger because the circuit is already built and ready to fire. And this is exactly why the pain can persist long after any tissue has healed. It's not that something is still physically wrong. It's that your brain has learned a pattern so well that it's running on autopilot. And here's the good news inside the explanation of neuroplasticity. If the brain has learned that pathway through repetition, then it can unlearn it the same way. Neuroplasticity isn't just the reason that your pain became chronic. it's the reason that it doesn't have to stay that way. So let's summarize this whole thing. Chronic pain is a brain that has learned to keep firing pain signals. And that's not because your body is broken, but because it's still perceiving danger somewhere, whether that's in your thoughts and your beliefs, your movements, your emotions. And because that pattern was learned through neuroplasticity, then it can be unlearned. And that's what nobody tells you when you're going from PT to PT, doctor from doctor, because they don't know or they just refuse to acknowledge it. So that's why you've been stuck chasing these physical solutions forever. This can be fully resolved. You don't need a better MRI, a different specialist, or another treatment. That's what I thought for years. What you need is your brain to learn that you are safe again. And that's the whole game. And once you understand that, then everything changes because you stop trying to fix your body, you stop fighting your body, and you start working with your brain, which is the thing that was creating the pain in the first place. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos about the truth of the human system, the truth about chronic pain, and how to get out of it.